I have been a sex therapist almost 20 years now, and I will tell you one thing is for certain. If you stop having sex with your partner and you're not giving them a good reason, it doesn't take long for that partner to go out and find someone who will have sex with them. And nobody wants that. In today's video, we are going to talk about a bunch of different things. One is communication and how important it is to communicate what your sexual needs and desires and wants are to your partner. Also, what happens when your relationship takes a turn and you guys start drifting apart and you're no longer having sex? Can your relationship really last past that? As well as different types of ideas for you to be able to spice up your sex life. Whether you've been together for a short time or you've been together for years, it's never too late. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. All right, first, I feel as a sex therapist, probably the most important thing that you need to have in a relationship, period, not just your sexual relationship, but just in a relationship, is communication. That's gonna work for your everyday life as well as your sex life. So communication is super important, and a lot of people fail to communicate because they're worried about judgment. They're worried about being embarrassed. They're worried about what the other person is going to think. So how do you communicate to your partner? Well, my theory is when you're in a relationship with somebody, you should be able to talk to that person about anything. That's who you share your life with. When you first start your relationship, most people have really great sex because it's new, it's exciting. After a while in your relationship, it can become routine, or maybe you've reached your peak of what you guys are trying. A lot of people don't even really know what they like sexually. So that's really important, is to find out what you like so then you can talk to your partner about it. Here's a fun fact. Men think about sex every 7 seconds, which is about 8,000 times a day, whereas women usually don't think about it much at all. One really kind of a fun way to talk to your partner about sex, if you don't want to actually like speak with them and approach them, is I use a thing in my therapy. It's called hard limits and soft limits. And what I have people do is you take a piece of paper and you're going to write down your soft limits, which are things that you're willing to try that maybe you've seen on TV or your friends have talked about. Whether or not you've tried them before, these are things that you will do. Then you have your hard limits, which are absolutely not, beyond a shadow of a doubt, don't ask me, not happening. So when you make a list of your hard limits and your soft limits, and you give that to your partner, then they kind of get the idea like, oh, okay, well, I definitely shouldn't ask them about this, but this, and this they're willing to try, so now I'm going to work towards that. So that's a really helpful, beneficial way to be able to maybe not feel as embarrassed as if you were speaking to them one-on-one by, just handing them the paper. It makes it much easier. And, if you want, you can ask your partner to do the same thing, and then you guys can exchange it, and that works out really, really well for people. Another thing about sex is not just penetration. And I think a lot of people, when you talk about having sex, they think, oh, we have to have intercourse. Being on the subject of sex is more than just penetration. Sex is also very intimate. And intimacy and sex are a completely different thing. And so I think that you need to learn that balance between being intimate with your partner and being sexual with your partner. Intimacy is something that you do like specifically for your partner that lets them know, I love you, I'm thinking about you, I want to be with you. Another thing that I like to recommend to couples is date nights are really important. Whether you have dogs or kids or parents living with you, you still need that one-on-one time. So to make a weekly date night is really important. And hey, if it turns into sex, so be it. But it's mainly to focus on the two of you, which is a very intimate thing as well. You can go to dinner, you can go on a walk, you can go to a movie, you can stay at home and have a picnic on your bed with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and grape Kool-Aid. It really doesn't matter. The whole point of date night is just for you two to be together. Obviously, if it's romantic and intimate and sexual, all the better. A lot of times in relationships, life gets in the way, and it's really important to not let life stop you guys from being sexual or stop you guys from being intimate. When you're in a committed relationship, I think people start to take for granted their partner, and they just assume that they're going to be there every day and every night. You wake up with them, you go to sleep with them. But in reality, you can't take for granted your partner, because when life gets in the way and you guys start doing everything else, and then at the end of the day, when you get into your bed to go to sleep, you're both too tired to even have sex or even cuddle, what happens is you're going to start drifting apart. Now, humans in general, we need that touch and that emotional connection. So when you're laying in bed with your partner and neither one of you are cuddling or being, intimate, your sex life is definitely going to start to deteriorate. And then what happens is, if one of you stops having sex or one of you stops kind of putting forth the effort to have sex, your partner is going to start feeling like, what did I do? What's wrong with me? Are they cheating on me? For some reason that you notice that you're losing interest in sex, super, super important to communicate that to your partner. I know it sounds weird, like, what are you going to say? Hey, I don't want to have sex with you anymore? Probably not the best way to start the conversation. However, it is really important to say, hey, I'm just going through something and feeling a little down, and I'm just not that interested in sex. I hear people all the time saying, I don't know, they just stopped having sex. No warning, no nothing. People are sexual in general, men and women. We need that. And if you're not giving it to them, they're gonna find somebody who does. So if you're using communication and you're saying, hey, I'm going through menopause, I'm not really feeling it, okay, that might be one thing. Or, hey, I gained a few pounds after I had the baby and I have some self-confidence issues. As long as you're communicating with your partner, I think that you guys have a great chance of working through that. But when you stop communication and you just stop being sexual, period, most relationships are not going to last past that. Another thing that's really important as far as your sexual relationship is, if either one of you have had any type of traumatic experience, it's really important for you to speak with your partner about that, because when you've had something like that go on in your life, that actually will affect your current relationship. If you have an understanding partner, it's really important that you share that. You guys need to be able to work through it together. While we're on the topic of the past, I'm going to encourage you to not bring up any of your past sexual experiences. When you are in a relationship, your partner does not want to hear, oh, well, so-and-so and I did this, and so-and-so and I did that, and oh yeah, well, this, and they don't want to hear that. First off, it can be intimidating to them, and not only that, but you don't want to think of your partner with someone else. I tell everyone, when you get into a new relationship, you're a virgin. So whatever you did with your past partners, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, don't bring that into your future or current relationship. It's not something that will be very healthy. So you are a virgin. Everything that you guys are trying together is for the first time, and go from there. If you want to introduce toys into your relationship, I have something that I use for a lot of couples. You get a basket or a cute little box. You go to the adult store, or you can do it online, up to you, and you buy a bunch of toys. Now, when I say buy a bunch of toys, I mean you buy toys for the both of you. Now, don't buy anything too intimidating. I would not recommend buying a 12-inch dildo or vibrator, because that's probably going to scare the hell out of somebody. So don't do that. Buy a smaller vibrator, buy a smaller dildo. buy whatever you feel like you want to try for you and then also for your partner. Then you just buy a card that says thinking of you and you sign your name. You put it all together and you give it to your partner. Here's the kicker. Do not say, hey, so do you want to try these things? No, just give it to them, leave it alone, don't say anything, let them have some time to process it. Guys, when you're doing this for your wife, usually what will happen is she may start using some of the toys before she tells you or before she says, hey, let's use these together. That's fine. Really, the end result is you eventually want to start using them together. Another thing about sex is people tend to start scheduling sex. One thing you don't want your sex life to be is routine or scheduled. So try not to say, okay, every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. we're going to have sex from 7 to 7:15. That is not exciting. That's not adventurous. That's not spontaneous. You want to do spontaneous things. Try having sex in different places. Try different positions. Try is basically the end. Just try new things. You will never know what you like until you try it. There might be things that you've seen that you thought, oh, I would never do that. And then once you try it, you can't live without it. All right, so here's another key point. Women are wired emotionally and men are wired visually. So ladies, when you're thinking of different things to try sexually, make sure that there is a visual involved. You gotta try to spice it up a little bit in the sense of think how they're visually going to see you. Men, women are emotional. So if she's had a bad day, the kids are driving her crazy, whatever is going on, chances of having sex that night are probably slim to none. The key thing with women, guys, this is a very helpful hint, is the more that she feels like you think she's beautiful, the more that she feels like you love her or you're paying attention to her, the chances are better that you guys will be more sexual when she's feeling more emotionally fed. So I'm going to tell you a little story about probably the very best couple that I have ever seen in my entire career. Back in 2004, I had a couple come in who were in their 80s and they had been married for 65 years, just celebrated their 65th year. When they came in, they were holding hands and you could just feel the love radiating off of them. It was the most beautiful thing ever. They sat down, we began to talk, and I couldn't help but to say, like, how have you stayed married for 65 years? I mean, you guys seem like you're still so very much in love. And the sweetest answer, they said, you know, we make love 3 days a week and we work on intimacy the other 4 days. Now, that's not my advice because clearly I haven't been married for 65 years. Now, how many times a week should you be having sex? 2 to 3 times a week, more if possible. With that being said, don't just have the same old boring kind of sex where it's like, okay, get on, get off, be done. Some people even go as far as having like a little cue or something like, oh, this person goes and takes a shower and they shave their legs. That must mean they're ready to have sex tonight. Try not to get into that routine. Be creative, be adventurous, try new things. Don't ever, ever, ever lose the spontaneity. All right, guys, well, that is my video for today. I would love to hear your opinion on how important sex is to you. So you can leave it down in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.